Standard newspaper on the same date 9 years ago to the date today. Can we have Standard newspaper on the same date today? As we wait for that, this is Stop These Killings. Is a picture of a young girl that is alone after her parents fled from bandits. Many of her age mates were killed in Nadome. Kenyans are asking why the state can't end what's happening. This was Friday, May 8th, 2015. I don't know if we can scroll that newspaper to the picture. Yes, that is alive but abandoned after that conflict. Now, the banditry in the country is currently still on a high or on the rise. And this is one of the reasons that Raila Odinga mentioned the name of Professor Kithure Kindiki last week, putting him on that list in spite of the fact that polls put him at the top position as the top performing minister in this OCS, in this government. So that was the headline on the 8th of May, 9 years ago. But there were other stories also making headlines on that day. I just want to pick one, if you could just bring it back. Uhuru Raila under pressure of a women's seat now, right at the top. This was about the 2/3 debate. And of course, we had other stories making headlines. But that is back in history, same date, 9 years ago. It was a Friday. Today is our Wednesday. All right, we'll be taking to the video of the week at the end of the show, but thank you so much for waiting up.
Thank you.
And there's a lot to talk about, but first, let me take you back to the issue of Raila Odinga. The first question that I asked, and I still ask that question, is the perception that perhaps Raila is aware that his journey to the African Union Commission has come to an end, the reason why he's come out guns blazing in the last few days.
That's not correct. It is because of the prevailing situation, the failure of leadership in the Kenya Kwanza government, and apart from the current disaster, that is the flooding crisis. When you look at the education sector, it's a disaster. The delayed capitation, we are saying let the children go back to school. The infrastructure that has been affected seriously. Most of the schools have been affected. That needs to be fixed. When you go to the health sector, they are trying to sort out the mess as we speak from tonight. But when you go to the agricultural sector, that is where the real disaster is. And with Minister Linturi having a parallel process, impeachment process going on, when there's a fertilizer conference in town, just a few meters away at KICC, he's at County Hall.
Stone throw.
This actually is a disgrace. I was in Mombasa and attended a church service, Bishop Maweo in Magongo, and he was saying the reading was that we should be vessels of honor. And that is how we bring honor to the house of the Lord. But also when we have vessels of dishonor, we bring dishonor to the country. Imagine the presidents who are in town, the ministers who are in town, right there near County Hall, where impeachment proceedings are going, talking about fertilizer in a country that 80% draws their livelihood from agriculture. And this minister presided over one of the biggest states in our history. But giving stones to farmers
it's not
and calling it. But that is why he's
under trial.
And we have over 149 members of parliament who found that he's not fit to hold that office. In fact, with this conference in town, he should have done the honorable thing and resigned.
By the way, did he open this conference? Because he should have been right there.
But how would Kenya look
if he opened
with
the
a minister who is accused of conning Kenyans and giving them stones instead of fertilizer? How would even his colleague ministers of agriculture from across Africa come into Nairobi be thinking about Kenya? These are matters that bring dishonor to the country, bring dishonor to the office. And that is the ground for any minister in any mature democracy to resign, rather than bring dishonor to your office and to your country.
We don't see them resigning as often as we would wish them to resign.
And that is where Parliament comes in. And we are really hoping on Monday, the mood that was there during the motion that was moved by Honorable Wamboka, a member of my party and a member of Azimio, we're very proud of him. It took a lot of courage for him to come out, because we know some of his colleagues have in the past been compromised, not to move such motions,
In-
including the
There's a time we're supposed to move a motion on Anne Waiguru, then devolution.
Yes, then we
It
were
didn't
told
happen.
he was invited to Naivasha, and he was offered some goodies, and the motion died.
How do you know that?
But
It's not
no,
factual.
this is from someone who was in Naivasha with him.
And you're in government then.
Yes, and she has spoken that this is what happened. But Honorable Wamboka, as his party leader, I want to say tonight, I'm terribly proud of you. And we need leaders like this to fight for Kenyans too. Kenyan farmers, no matter where they may be.
If he is impeached, he will go down in history. I don't remember a CS that has been impeached.
Yes.
I don't remember. And he'll be an ally of the president. I mean, if you look at the composition of parliament, this is not even a discussion that you'd think we'd be having on this table, that they would even fathom, even manage, even just imagine. Impeaching a CS is a mirage in this government.
It's not easy, but we're very proud of this parliament and all the 149 members. The fact that they went across the political aisle, it shows that this matter is not about Kenya Kwanza or Azimio. It is about the Kenyan farmer, whether that farmer is in Murang'a or in Kitale or wherever, or in Kericho. They are all suffering the same. When you have poor leadership, we all suffer the same. So, and this is where we should really look at more sobriety and maturity in our politics, where we look at the issues and we do what is right for the country. And this is what leadership is about. When you are representative of the people, you speak for the people. And we're happy that we can see this happening in our parliament now.
And this is one of the reasons why Raila Odinga has been drawn out. So I'll ask lastly, is he still on course with the Africa Union Commission?
He is, and we are very optimistic that he will be able to win. And when he does, this is not about Azimio winning. It's not about Kenya Kwanza winning, or because of the generosity of Kenya Kwanza that he gets it. It will be an honor for our country. It will be an honor for our region. The East African region hasn't had this opportunity before. It's a very strategic position. And this is where, when the national interest comes into play, we should put aside our party differences. And we didn't like the tone of Ishungwa's and Senator Cheriot's threats to Raila. And we want to tell them that, they should hold their horses. We will not allow them to blackmail Raila or Azimio. We will speak for the people. As long as things are going right, you will not see Raila coming out. He got to that point he was moved. He's a human being. He's a leader. He's someone who has always fought for the people, and he came out for the people. And look at the reasons. Don't politicize these things. When he talked about fake fertilizer, isn't it an issue? We have talked as Azimio. Even today, we're addressing the matter. The mishandling of the floods. Where did the rain start beating us, Ken? When none other than William Ruto himself said, oh, there will be no El Nino, in spite of clear expert evidence to the contrary. And we made an expert from the meteorological apologize in public and retract. And look where this led us. So today, we want to say that the best this government can do is listen to the experts. We saw they were going to open schools. We called out. We are happy that reason prevailed and they postponed it. Today, they're telling us, experts are projecting that these rains will go down maybe from next week so we can open schools. That is the way a country is run. You should not fly blind. We have the best experts in this country. When you look at the meteorological department of Kenya, it's one of the best, one of the oldest in Africa, and one of the best. What we need to do is invest more in the latest equipment, in training, and ensuring that we have better early warning systems, we have better preparedness so that we avert these disasters.
The question is, over 1,500 schools have been affected. Is that infrastructure ready, or will it be ready by Monday to receive?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Then what are we doing?
Definitely not. And that is why we're saying they don't have to rush this thing. Because if you're opening schools and the capitation and the principles we're talking about has not been given, they are still going to face the same challenges. Schools closed a bit early. Many of them were struggling. Now imagine with the devastation of these floods, the infrastructure is affected, the capitation has not been given. Even if we rush to open the schools, there are still going to be challenges. And we wouldn't want to see some of the Kenyan children going into buildings that have been affected that could collapse on them. So we needed a phase where these buildings are properly assessed and enough resources are deployed in ensuring that this infrastructure is fixed.
Not to speak about the second disaster,
Yes.
cholera outbreak possibility,
Yes.
that's going to happen. I mean, from where you sit as a leader, if this decision was to be made, I know the rains could subside anytime.
Yes.
When would it be reasonable, in your opinion, that these schools will be open and students, 1,500 schools affected, students will be comfortable in these schools?
That is where we should go with expert advice.
Which the president
Now,
invokes.
one thing, if the Mets are saying the rains will subside in a week or 2 weeks' time, now within that period, would we have fixed the infrastructure? Would we have a conducive environment for these children when they go back to the schools? Some bridges have been washed away. Even accessing those schools is going to be a problem. So I think that is something, I do not see the haste in saying, oh, they must go the next Monday. All these matters need to be taken into consideration and working with the experts and the stakeholders in the education sector and the Mets. We need to make the right decision.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to really ask you this.
Yes.
Finally, has Azimio One Kenya recognized President William Ruto? Increasingly, that is what we're seeing. Everyone is now speaking about President William Ruto. What is the change of heart? This is related to the Africa Union Commission support. What has changed?
It's not a change of heart. It is just a matter of fact that when the Supreme Court declared him, we said we did not agree with the decision, but we accepted it. That is the point at which we accepted that, he had been declared the president. The Supreme Court had upheld his, that position, but we still look at him as a minority president. When you look at the regions of Kenya, Azimio and Raila Odinga won the majority of the regions. The old provinces, we won 6 out of the 8. He mainly won in the central region and in the Rift Valley. When you look at the counties, again, Azimio won the majority of the counties. When you look at all these factors coming down to the commission itself, you see him as a minority president and declared by a minority commission. The majority of the commissioners did not own those results. Even at Bomas, a year later, they still said those were Chebukati's results, and he only had 2 commissioners with him, the minority in that commission. So it is something that even as we are talking about IEBC, we are talking about electoral reforms, we must look at the future so that we never get our country in such a position again. It is by the grace of God that, we didn't get ourselves to the 2007-2008 situation where we lost confidence in the Electoral Commission. It can happen again. So this is why the electoral reforms are necessary. Fixing IEBC now should be a priority for all of us, whether you're in the opposition or in government. This is for the sake of our democracy and our future.
Okay. Does this also now mean, because that is happening, when the government does the right thing, Azimio will be right there to pat his back?
Correct. And I can tell you there are a few right things they have done, like the war against, illicit brews, in Mount Kenya region has been killed by this. So when they are declaring that war, they have our total support. We're just saying that they should not just go for the small fish. They should go for the big fish, the distillers. Uhuru had declared war on this. In fact, almost 26 distillers had already been, locked down. Because they were looking for support, they reopened. And some of these are the ones who financed their campaigns. So it's just until the other day that they started now going through the process of looking at the source, at the big fish. And that is something we have supported. The issue of reopening of schools, is something we welcome when they are listening and they are able to, when they do right things, we are saying this you're doing right. The issue of fertilizer, subsidy, this is one right thing they had gotten in the first year until this fake fertilizer thing happened. And that's why we're saying, you know, there should be no sacred cows when it comes to the Kenyan farmer. If you're going to kill the goose that lays the golden egg, that is economic sabotage. It must not be allowed. And we're saying to the Kenya Kwanza government, they should not protect, even if it's one of their own. But he has been found with his hand in the jar. He must be held accountable. And we are hoping that next week, we are going to see this happen. Because corruption has become endemic in the Kenya Kwanza government, to the extent that we have been grey listed. For the first time, Kenya is on the shameful grey list, meaning we have been listed amongst those countries that, you know, the heavens of money laundering and wash. That is where we've gotten this country. Something has to be done to stop this corruption, to stop the wastage in government. And as the opposition, we will continue calling them out on this.
Have you projected what kind of harvest we'll have in the next 5 months, next 1 year? Experts, and if we have food in this country?
Ken, experts are saying already with what has happened, the next crisis is going to be the food crisis. After the flood crisis, there's going to be the food crisis. Experts are also saying there's likely to be a pendulum swing, right, from floods to drought, maybe towards the end of the year. So this is the terrible new normal when you're talking about climate change. What we need to do is invest more in ensuring that we do more water harvesting and storage. When I was at the Ministry of Water and Irrigation, we had mapped out this country. And there are dams that if we're able to complete them, we will see Kenya becoming food secure. In Ukambani, we started Thwake Dam. That's one thing I'm very proud. As the Minister for Water, it had taken years to get off the ground. We were able to get it. And Thwake now is on track. You go to Kirinyaga, we have Thiba Dam. This is going to double rice production there. You come to Budalangi, we have the Lower Nzoia project with the World Bank that is going to help with the floods that are there now. With permanent dikes, we should be able to contain the floods in Budalangi. In Nyando region, the Soin Koru Dam, this is something, when I left the ministry, we had already approved. If we were able to put out that Soin Koru Dam, we will be able to tame River Nyando and the floods in Nyando. So there's a long term. So even as we're having floods now, we should also be looking at the brighter side of it, that indeed, in future, if we can harvest and store this water, we can boost our irrigation, our food production, and control the extent to which these floods will affect our people in future. So there's a lot to be done.
And these rains has showed us where we should be investing.
Yes.
And which areas we should be targeting with this.
Exactly, and also they've shown us the riparian areas.
Yes.
The only issue is, why have we only gone to Mathare where the hustlers?
Not
and yet you go to Runda, there are houses submerged. They're in the riparian area. Is this where Kenya is becoming an animal farm?
What it
doesn't. I mean, we're becoming an animal farm where some animals are more equal than others. Why only go to the hustlers in Mathare, kick them out, pull down their houses? The process, kill children. Then you are telling them, we'll give you 10,000. Now, okay, if you have a wife and 6 children, if you're given 10,000 right now.
With no house.
With no house.
Yes.
And you know how expensive food is in this city. With the rotonomics, the cost of living is too high. What can 10,000 do? That's why we told the government today.
100,000.
At least 100,000 per family. You can be able to get some food, get some place where the family can go. Ukijipanga.
They say it's sustainable for about 3 months. Until everything returns to normalcy. They'll do it for 3 months.
But it's 10,000 is too little, too late. And we're saying if they're applying this action over 30 meters, then it should be across board. They should not go to Mukuru kwa Ruben, Mukuru kwa Njenga, Mukuru Kayaba, for where the hustlers are only. And they leave Wadosi in the other big areas. It should cut across. If it is a policy of government, we should see Buana, the minister, going to those areas also.
Okay.
Why is he only taking his boss to Mathare?
Would you rather they were given nothing?
They should, if you find families that have already been afflicted by water. This is double tragedy. You have been hit by water, then you are hit by bulldozers, kicked out, left with nothing, then you are given 10,000 shillings.
It's unreasonable.
It's totally unreasonable. It's inhumane, and this is something that the current government, when they were coming in, they were promising that there would be no evictions, there would be, you know, we had them say these things, and now you see those poor hustlers being kicked out and being brutalized, and you see their tears, and they're saying, we voted for this government that said they will take care of us, mamambogas and border. Look what they're doing to us. Why are you not doing that in Runda and the other areas?
But the question is, which is the lesser evil? Leave them on that path of destruction and death, or save their lives? I think that is where the government has to do a balancing act.
Yes, but in a humane manner. Any evictions done, and I remember when Orengo was Minister for Lands, we introduced these rules on eviction. You don't evict without giving an alternative. Then even if you are going to give adequate notice and do it in a humane manner, that's all they're saying. Yes.
And they're resisting that movement. What happens next? They're saying we can't, you're not giving us an alternative. A viable, they have alternatives, but a viable alternative. So where are we moving to?
Those are very valid questions, Ken. And if in the process of doing this, it turns into a land grab, you're being told, oh, move out, then they're saying they're going to put up affordable housing in the same area. It's a land grab.
Okay.
So it is something that they need to listen to the people also and do it in a humane manner. That's what we're saying.
This government has the pretense of blaming a lot of these things that are happening negatively on the government that you served.
Yes.
One of the ministries that you served is Ministry of Water. Now they're bringing this to your doorstep and saying, if Eugene Wamalwa worked then, we might not be in this problem. So the blame is going to a ministry where you served also.
I think if we were to engage in a blame game, really, even in matters floods, we have been very restrained as the opposition. We have not engaged in a blame game, because we know that this is a global issue. When you're talking about climate change, it's not a local issue. But the issue is the state of preparedness in terms of the response, in terms of mitigation, because floods are happening everywhere. But when you see the way other governments have handled this, and you look at how Kenya Kwanza has handled this, and you can see the gaps. What we need, and Ken, this is something that must also be brought to Parliament, because when we left, we already had brought to Parliament the Disaster Risk Management Bill. This bill is critical, and we want tonight to urge our parliamentarians to prioritize it, to fast track it. I don't know why it has taken over a year.
Maybe they have a reason now to fast track it.
And now they need to do it because this is now going to improve the coordination in terms of response. It will improve the response, and it will show how the county government can work with the national government and international partners in terms of disasters. So those structures are very, very important. It will improve the coordination and the response. We can respond better. And the confusion we have seen will not be there if we institutionalize our response. And that law actually provides when this is a county disaster, when it becomes a national disaster, when we should declare it so that we bring our international partners on board. This is something that we've seen has been lacking in all this. Yes.
But that will give us the much needed resourcing and funds. But
Definitely.
But I want to leave that discussion now. And I want to talk about your point of convergence with Azimio and your point of convergence with Raila Odinga. What is this point? Where do your minds meet with Raila Odinga?
I think in fighting for the people, he has been a Democrat. And that is what Azimio is about. And one of the issues we've really been fighting is in defense of our multi-party democracy. Because you see our Kenya Kwanza guys, our friends are going, you know, many of them were students, political students of Moi and the old KANU regime, KANU, Baba na Mama, where you kill all parties and you only have one party. And we ended up with a single party state. You do remember.
Yeah.
So it took the champions of democracy like Raila Odinga and others to fight for Moi to remove Section 2A, for us to have this multi-party democracy. But when you look at the tendencies of our Kenya Kwanza friends, you see them going back. You see them wanafuata nyayo, which is very dangerous, and it can lead us back to a one-party state, which we cannot allow. And that's why we're fighting to protect and defend our parties. There's been quite a serious amount of cannibalization of these parties. Jubilee was the main target, but now all other parties, including parties in Kenya Kwanza, like ANC, like Ford Kenya, they are not safe. So these are matters that we are fighting for. When you look at matters of devolution, Raila Odinga has championed this, and this is something as Azimio we are fighting for, because we believe devolution holds the key to a more equal Kenya, a more equitable Kenya, and a more inclusive Kenya. If we can strengthen this devolution and bring about equality, there are areas where you go and they are talking of the one man, one vote, one shilling. So that a child born in Kiambu and a child born in Waje are equal. You cannot have a child getting 30,000 shillings bursary, then another child getting only 3,000 shillings. So these are some of the matters that as we work with Raila Odinga, as the champion of all this, we are fighting for Kenyans. And whether he goes to the AU or not, as Azimio, we will, it's a luta continua. We will not abandon Kenyans.
The school of thought that you had to take a side, you had to pick a side, and it was a better side for you as Eugene Wamalwa.
Yes.
Yes, so you had to pick a side. Either this side, William Ruto's side, or Raila Odinga's side. So it's a matter of convenience for you and political expediency, looking at the support from that region, you had to pick that side. And that is the only reason why you're on that side, because you couldn't pick this other side.
Politics is about the coalition of the willing. And in my case, I was aligned with President Uhuru Kenyatta when there was a fallout with his deputy, William Ruto. Before that, when we started this government, actually, we were the three of us. I was party leader of New Ford Kenya. William Ruto was party leader of URP, and Uhuru was party leader of TNA. In fact, when we launched TNA, that's how the journey to formation of Jubilee began. And we were very good friends until there was that fallout. And he chose new friends. He found Musalia and Weta from our region. And I got new friends in Azimio. And we want to assure Kenyans that as a government in waiting, we are prepared, and we are preparing for 2027. For me, my party, Democratic Action Party of Kenya, it's one of the youngest parties in Kenya. We formed it just on the eve of the elections. And I'm very, very proud that we've been able to make a mark, including Mwamko Mpya wa Tawe, including very bold and courageous leaders like Wanami Wamboka, who has said Tawe to fake fertilizer, and to the sale of Zoya and other sugar companies. We are very, very proud of our members, and we are going to fight on as we prepare for 2027.
Okay.
Yes.
The reason why I'm asking this is the formation in Western Kenya right now.
Yes.
There's a move to bring all parties under the current ruling party, UDA, together. That means political parties from the other side will definitely be killed, and they'll promote one-party ideology. ANC is there, Ford Kenya, they are in the government, and they are among the highest-ranking members of William Ruto's government, the Speaker of the National Assembly, and then the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and also the Foreign Affairs, and they're all there. It looks like you have seen a vacuum in the region in terms of leadership, because the top leadership are look like they want to cross on the other side. So there's this fight between Natembeya, the Trans Nzoia governor, who is a member of your party. One of the governors. Is the only governor you have, DAPK.
Yes.
And then Moses Wetangula, Ford Kenya. And the sentiments are around the beneficiary of this feud is Eugene Wamalwa. Are you the sponsor and the sole beneficiary of this feud?
That is not correct. And I would say I have not sponsored. I'm not the beneficiary. Actually, the beneficiary of this, first and foremost, are the people of Trans Nzoia. Because where this war between Natembeya and Weta started was when Weta was trying to push Natembeya to leave DAP Kenya to join Ford Kenya.
Oh, that was the where it started?
Yes, this is where it started.
Okay.
And I'm very proud of my governor.
That's before the election?
Yes.
Okay.
No, after the elections.
After the election?
Yes.
Okay.
After the elections, because we were able to put up a very spirited fight, and we were able to beat Wetangula combined with Musalia and Ruto and win Trans Nzoia. It was not easy, but we worked very hard, just being a young, new party, to win that. So immediately after winning, there was pressure for Natembeya to leave DAP Kenya and join Ford Kenya, and therefore
by extension,
go to Kenya Kwanza. In
yes.
fact, Wetangula worked very hard. Natembeya was one of the first governors to be taken to State House. Weta worked very hard on that. But what he didn't know is that Natembeya ni mtu wa msimamo. He said, no, I'm not leaving my party. In fact, we promoted him to become my deputy party leader, and I'm very proud of him.
First time in politics?
Yes.
Deputy party leader.
Deputy party leader, and I'm very proud of him because I'm a letter mwamko mpya. That is the slogan of our party. And now it's the Tawe. And this is something that when Weta realized Natembeya was not willing to play ball, he now declared war on him. And because he's planning to bring Nahumicha as a candidate against Natembeya. So
Wetangula is planning to bring Nahumicha as a candidate
for governor.
in the next election.
Yes, for governor.
Against
Natembeya.
Okay.
So you see, it's not Natembeya who started the war. It's Wetangula who started the war. And like Michuki used to say, if you rattle a snake, expect to be bitten. This is where these things started, Ken. A lot of people don't have that background. So sometimes I hear Wetangula analia sana, lakini I tell him, Waswahili wanasema mwiba wa kujidunga hawambiwi pole. Because he's the one who actually went to Trans Nzoia and started fighting Natembeya with his MPs, you know, calling him names, calling me names. So that's how the war began. But where things have reached today, the truth is that ANC and Ford Kenya are actually on their way to being swallowed by UDA.
to the grave, literally.
Yes. So that leaves DAP Kenya as now the party of choice in the region. And with this Tawe mwamko mpya that is there, it's exciting the entire region. And we are supporting the movement, and we want to see a very strong party in the region going into the next general elections, where I will be one of the candidates for president. And we want to make sure that we now go back to the grassroots. We are launching our membership recruitment drive of DAP Kenya, and we will be having grassroots elections to re-energize our party. So watch this space, Ken. But this is the party to watch.
You are excited about what's going on in your party.
Yes.
But I don't hear you condemning in equal measure the violence that is associated with this fight between these two bulls.
I did condemn. I spoke very strongly in Bungoma, where Wetangula was, and I told him, you started this war, please stop it. You cannot blame Natembeya for defending himself. I have spoken in Trans Nzoia about what happened at the funeral. I condemn that. And we abhor violence. And as leaders, we can resolve our issues without resorting to violence. And really, our focus should be on fighting for the people. And that is why I'm saying the people are the beneficiaries in Trans Nzoia because of Natembeya's fight. He's fighting for the people. is fighting for his space against aggression from Wetangula. But when you, apart from Trans Nzoia, the Tawe movement is not just in Trans Nzoia. When you come to Bungoma, our team is led by Jack Wamboka. In fact, when Ruto went to Nzoia Sugar Company, you remember there was an attempt to sell the company, an attempt to lease and to privatize. Actually, Wamboka stood and said, Tawe, we will not allow the selling. And as DAP, we went to court to fight for the farmers. And not just Nzoia, all the sugar companies, all the way to Muhoroni, to Chemelil, and Sony. And now we are also saying Tawe to this fake fertilizer. And Jack Wamboka, our team leader in Bungoma, is also leading that fight in Parliament. So we're very proud. You go to Kakamega, PK Salasia, when there were issues with Mumias sugar, he single-handedly said to Tawe to Ruto, he told him, these people are lying to you because of what they were planning to do to Mumias sugar. Now you can see Mumias is getting back on track. So as a party leader, I am happy and proud of our team. It's a new team, but it's a team that has really fought for the people. So the people are the beneficiaries, not Eugene Wamalwa. And going forward, we want to assure the people of Kenya that we will, as Democratic Action Party of Kenya, fight for them.
Didmas Barasa tends to think otherwise, that this fight is not about Moses and Natembeya. It comes from Peter Salasia tends to think this war was begun by Didmas Barasa because of the kind of sentiments that have been flying around in Western region, especially that he seemed to be anti the government.
No, Didmas is one of the MPs aligned to Wetangula. There are some of the MPs I said have been insulting my deputy party leader, Governor Natembeya, have been insulting me. And this is the brand of politics that has Ford Kenya has been playing, dirty politics. We are saying time has come to inject maturity and sobriety in our politics and to restore political hygiene. That is what Democratic Action Party of Kenya stands for. That is what AZMIO stands for.
Then why do you draw the line and say you're not the beneficiary ultimately? You want the strongest political party going into 2027. ANC and Ford Kenya are imminently disintegrating. I don't know how they will hold against the president and the push to have one party, right? So how do you say you're not the ultimate beneficiary of a single strong party in Western Kenya?
No, it's not an individual called Eugene Wamalwa. I'm only a first amongst equals. I'm only the party leader. But the people will have a viable vehicle through which they can realize their aspirations, a voice that will speak for the voiceless. And you can see all the dynamite voices in the Western region, right from Natembeya in Trans Nzoia to Wamboka in Bungoma to Salasi in Kakamega, all the way to Engineer Maungu in Vihiga. The Luanda MP is a DAP Kenya MP. He was the only MP in the entire Vihiga who said Tawe to the Finance Bill 2023. When you look at the other MPs, all of them said yes. And this is something I'm very proud of. And even as we are expecting the Finance Bill 2024 to usher in a new wave of taxes, because we believe this Finance Bill is going to be, 2024 is going to be the real bottom-up year. There was a hue and cry over the 2023 Finance Bill. But the 2024 one that is coming is going to be the real bottom-up Finance Bill. So we want to assure Kenyans, even as the high cost of living continues affecting them, we will fight any efforts to raise further these taxes and make their lives unbearable. It's one issue that, as you know, Ken, was our main issue at Bomas of Kenya. And our friends in Kenya Kwanza trashed it because the intention was never to lower any taxes. The intention is to raise taxes. And in this coming finance bill, you're going to see what I'm talking about. And that's why I refused to sign that NADCO report. Because if we're only going to talk about offices for the prime cabinet secretary, for the leader of opposition, for the women reps, ADMO and, NGCD, and then we forget Wanjiku, who is suffering because of the high cost of living, then we have not done justice.
We lost. Finally, with what's happening, Do you see this elusive Luhya unity? Do you see it anywhere in the near future? Is it happening? Because with everything happening, I guess it's just downstream.
I think it is how we look at it. Because if we are talking about Luhya unity, my brother was a champion of Luhya unity, my Sindem Lira was a champion, and they were able to bring the communities together. I came and I think I'm the only other Luhya presidential candidate who has been able to support another. The problem has been that selfishness and instead of selflessness. Because if you look at others, they've never been able to support each other. But where we have reached now, if we are talking about Luhya unity for the purpose of supporting William Ruto up to 2032, or up to Gachagua up to 2042, then this is what we are bringing this Mwamko Mpya to tell our people, enough is enough. Okay. If we are going to be used in this manner, time has come. In 2027, 10th of August, Western is going to have a presidential candidate. In 2032, we will have presidential candidates, but we are not going to be given that tranquilizer using Luhya unity to unite for the purpose of
supporting one.
Yes.
Okay. And finally, are they listening to you?
I believe the time is coming when they are going to see where their future lies. And I believe DAP Kenya is going to be the party of choice, is going to be the vehicle through which the region can be able to compete in our national politics in terms of realizing our political aspirations. And I believe the Tawe movement that has awakened them, if we all come together and build a strong vehicle, we will need strong partners also across other regions. And that is why we have said we will not allow Azimio to die. And those who are thinking by Raila Odinga going to AU, they have killed Azimio, they've got it. They are dead wrong about that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure coming
Awesome.
to the show tonight and looking forward. As I always say, the more we talk about these issues, the safer we are. We are Kenya and Kenya is our business.
Thank you.
Your parting shot?
I want to, today was the World Red Cross Day. I want to thank our Kenya Red Cross for what they have been doing, risking lives. I've seen them trying to even cross very dangerous waters to save lives. And all their colleagues across the world who are doing a lot to serve humanity. We want to tell them tonight we appreciate the role they're playing and we wish them well in continuing to serve humanity.
Eugene Wamalwa, leader DAP Kenya, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
And looking forward to more conversations. As I let him go, we have a sad story. And I was discussing with you earlier about this man who has been stuck in a prison for the last 13 years. And they're saying that Kenyans need to contribute to bring him back home. Otherwise, he will be hanged in the next 7 days. Yes. Your sentiments before we go to the story.
I think Kenyans are amazing when they rally support for one of their own. I do recall the Kenyans for Kenya movement. And if Kenyans come together and properly organized, 150 million is nothing. But still, that back stops with the government. Okay. You cannot tell Kenyans you are looking for thousands of jobs, uko Arabuni, and you cannot negotiate with that government to address this matter. It's something that can be handled diplomatically, and that is something that we must call them out for. Okay. Failing to protect that Kenya.
Here's a story.
Stephen was initially sentenced to 5 years